All right, everybody, welcome back to the Sit Down Mars podcast. This is the Dirty Bird. I got a really cool special interview here for you today. Ishmael Vaughn is on the podcast here for the first time. He is a graduate of the Santino Brothers Wrestling Academy down there in like South Los Angeles. And then also he is wearing that Nightmare Factory jacket proudly today as he is a graduate of the Nightmare Factory as well. So welcome to the show for the first time, Ishmael Vaughn. Welcome, man.
Thank you, DB. I appreciate you having me on. I'm excited to get going today.
Yeah, man, I am too, man. I'm super pumped, man. I'm excited to talk a little wrestling with somebody. You know, we got a big wrestling big wrestling weekend going on right now. You know, CM Punk just showed up. SummerSlam just happened last night, man. Big, huge festivities going on right now, man. It's exciting.
It is. It's been an exciting year for wrestling. 2021 has brought back a lot of people, as you can see.
Yeah, it definitely has, man. I'm excited to talk to you, man, about what's going on in your world right now, man. But right off the bat, man, let's just talk about it. Ishmael, introduce everybody to yourself here and all of our brand new listeners that might be listening to you talk about your career here for the first time.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me. My name is Ishmael Vaughn. I was born in Cameroon, Africa, grew up in Oakland, California my whole life in the Bay Area. I had the opportunity to attend Santino Bros Wrestling Academy in Los Angeles and train at the Nightmare Factory. My pro wrestling journey, I want to say, started off with me just as a little kid watching professional wrestling. My first introduction to it was Undertaker and Randy Orton and having the opportunity to see them wrestle.
Wow.
And it just made me become inspired by this world. And that's what made me want to really get into it, was just watching everything that I saw on TV. And I was like, that's so cool. So one day I was like, I have to do it myself. And that's how I got into professional wrestling. And then my journey continues from there.
Right. Oh, man. Awesome, man. I always like to hear, like what, jump started, what, got the imagination flowing of why, what makes a wrestler want to be a wrestler, and you saying stuff like that is just, it's awesome. I mean, like you said, it was Undertaker and RKO. For everybody, it's something different. For a lot of people, it's some of the same things, man. But, to hear you say Undertaker and RKO and to still see, what they're doing now, is really cool. I mean, the way this crazy world is you might get a chance to wrestle them one day, man. Like that's awesome.
Yeah, you never know. You never know what can happen these days in the world of professional wrestling.
I know, man, and that's kind of like what's great about it. So, all right, so like I said, we said you were a graduate of Santino Brothers Wrestling Academy and the Nightmare Factory. So, since you've chosen these schools and graduated, man, how has this elevated your love of wrestling now that you've learned from a couple different schools? You're really honing your craft. Like, how has that affected your love of wrestling and making you even wanting to do it more now?
Yeah, having the opportunity to train at Santino Bros Wrestling Academy and the Nightmare Factory has elevated my love for professional wrestling by a lot. I remember the first time being back in a pro wrestling ring, stepping into the Santino Bros ring. I was like, this is where I belong. This is where I want to be. I can't wait to get started. Santino Bros, they train you for a year. That's how long their program is. So it's very instructive, and they get down to the nitty-gritty on how to actually be a professional wrestler. And that's what I really loved about Santino Bros, was just learning the art and the craft of how we do what we do inside the ring, keeping each other safe, but also putting on a great performance for the fans. And then at the Nightmare Factory, it was a little bit different. You learn how to wrestle there too. But I want to say the Nightmare Factory, they really focused on bringing characters out and bringing characters alive through promo work. I felt that a lot at the Nightmare Factory, and I felt like that's where Ishmael Vaughn was born. That's where my character was discovered, and me having the opportunity to go out there and do something great, learn from some of the best in the business between Cody Rhodes and QT Marshall, and all the AEW talent that stopped by to help us out as well. So it really just showed me that if you put in the work, you put in the hard work, you can be where they can be at someday.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're all seeing that play out on TV right now, with AEW, getting a lot of those guys, and it's the hottest wrestling in the game right now. And a lot of it has to do with some of those guys that are coming out of those schools, So really love to see it. I feel like we're going through a little bit of a wrestling boom right now, and it might not even be a little bit, Ishmael. It might be a big bit.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. All right. So, where are you wrestling at now, man? What regions, what promotions are you using at the moment?
Yeah, so I'm wrestling in between Southern California and Northern California. So since
Okay.
I made my professional wrestling debut at the Nightmare Factory, I've had the opportunity to work with my home location back here at Santino Bros Wrestling Academy, doing up all night student shows. We're planning to go live with those shows very soon, bringing back
Really
the
cool.
audience. I had the opportunity to travel up to Northern California, where I'm originally from, Oakland, and work with East Bay Pro Wrestling up there. And I had the opportunity to work with SPW in Sacramento. And then I had the opportunity, I didn't get to work in the ring with them, but I got the opportunity to ring crew with them and just meet people with West Coast Pro. So I've been working in between both Northern California and Southern California, both of those.
Nice. Nice to see you already out there getting that work in, man. Putting that work on, beating up those promotions, man. Getting out there, man. I like to see it. Love to see it already. And also, Nightmare Factory. You guys are running matches on, I believe it's YouTube now on the YouTube channel, right? Correct.
That is correct. So you probably saw we have three of them out right now, three student showcases.
Mhm.
My class was showcase number three, and the previous two before us.
Yeah,
And those
nice.
have gotten a lot of views.
So, where does the inspiration of the Ishmael Vaughn character gimmick, so to speak, what's that being influenced by? Like, what's all that? How's that all being put together?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So the name Ishmael Vaughn came from my real life nickname, which is Ish. Ish was a nickname given to me by my high school football team, actually, because they couldn't pronounce my real name. My real name is actually Korean and it's Hyowan. It's a complicated name for people to pronounce on the first try. My
Sure.
football team didn't even try, so they just gave me the nickname Ish. It stuck with me all throughout college, throughout sports, so I took Ishmael. And then Vaughn is the last name with the family that I currently live with right now here in Los Angeles. It was my best friend from college. We played football together. And his family heard about my professional wrestling dream and how I wanted to move down here to train at Santino Bros. And they
Sure.
were like, well, you can come live with us while you train and do the independent circuit. And
Wow.
I was like, oh, that's great. I'll pay you guys rent and everything. Thanks for having me. They were like, no, you don't have to pay us rent. We just want to see
Wow.
you chase your dream. So, as like a
Wow.
dedication
That
to
is
them,
support right there, man. Wow.
that is support.
That's a
And it
great,
caught me
great
off guard.
story.
So that's why I decided to do Ishmael Vaughn because Devon is their last name. So I just made it Ishmael Vaughn as a
Nice.
dedication to them because without them, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now. They just wouldn't
Yeah.
be possible.
Yeah, that's a great tip of a cap. I'm glad I asked that question. I had no idea asking that, like what you would say. That's probably the best answer you could have possibly given, man. I love it. That's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So that, yeah, that's the inspiration for the name. As far as the character goes, the character is a mixture of Eric Killmonger from Black Panther. So if you look at his story, he's from Oakland, California, grew up like in a really rough neighborhood. I come from a very similar background and I really identified with that. So I was like, okay, you're from Oakland. The character's from Oakland. Let's do this little Eric Killmonger vibe with Dragon Ball Z, which is my favorite anime. My favorite
Okay.
character in Dragon Ball Z is Vegeta. So if you look at my ring outfit, a couple of people have already picked it up that it's a resemblance of Saiyan armor. So I kind of took the Eric Killmonger vibe with the Vegeta vibe, which are very similar vibes if you look at both of their characters, and
Yeah.
blended into one.
Nice. I like it. I do have a picture up on screen right now. If you're watching the video live here of your outfit here, and the other guys on the podcast, they are Dragon Ball Z fans, and I think they kind of picked out some of that. So they were definitely seeing the inspiration there. So really cool, man. And I tell you what, man, I was looking at the name. I mean, IV sounds like a pretty good chant. Like IV, IV.
Yep. I've
Yeah.
already gotten a couple of those.
Yeah, yeah, I like it, man. It works. It works pretty well. So I love it, man. All right, so we talked about your early influences as being like Randy, Undertaker. Anybody in WCW? Anybody? Anybody in the Southern wrestling era from back in those days? Nitro.
No, it's funny you mentioned that because me and my friend we traveled out to the Nightmare Factory together, and his gimmick is more like Glacier's. And Glacier
Whoa,
was also one of the coaches at the Nightmare Factory, and
dope.
we both watched Glacier while we were training at Santino Bros. Because my tag team partner, his name is Kid Bandit, and he has the ninja gimmick just like Glacier too. So we watched him a lot, and we had the
Sweet.
opportunity to work with Glacier and actually talk to Glacier down at
Wow.
the Nightmare Factory, and he
Mind
was
blowing a
very
little
helpful.
bit there.
Yeah, he has a lot of stories, a lot of knowledge, a lot of advice. He's been doing this for a very long time,
Sure.
telling us about his time at WCW and having to get that gimmick over.
Yes, that was a big. I grew up in the South, North Carolina. WCW, NWA, like that was what was on TV. So I, absolutely know Glacier. Yeah, that was a big gimmick at the time. With the snow coming through the
Yeah.
lights, and it was pretty amazing. And that is cool, man. I actually did not know he was down there training. So shout out to Glacier for putting it back in the young guys, man. I love it, love it. So, Ishmael, who is the ultimate dream match? Everybody's got one, man. If you got to pick one, who's one? Who's the one?
It would be my personal favorite wrestler of all time, John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully he doesn't retire before I get there, but that would be
Ah,
my
yeah,
ultimate dream match is to just go against someone that I admired as a little kid
yeah,
watching. And as a little kid, I would never thought that you might one day have the opportunity to face John Cena. That would
yeah.
be a dream match for me.
I tell you, man, as good as he looks, he's probably going to wrestle another 30 years, man. I think he got plenty of time, man. He looks great, man. He looks great. So, Fate, I don't know if you've dabbled much in the tag team era as much so far since graduating, but who would be the dream tag team partner? Like, who would you want next to you holding up the belts?
Dream tag team partner.
I mean, it can be a
Honestly,
singles guy. It doesn't have to be a tag team wrestler. I mean, let's throw Cena out, like next to Cena. Obviously, but
next to Cena, a dream tag team partner. You know, it would probably be, I would say, Austin Theory, who's currently in NXT right now.
sweet,
The reason why I say Austin Theory is because I had the opportunity to meet him at a WWE tryout. We really
nice,
clicked, we really bonded in our group, and I really admired how far he come in such a short amount of time, and
yes,
just
sir.
his passion and dedication to the world of pro wrestling and where he wanted to be. He
Yeah,
set goals for himself, he established those goals, and he achieved them. So that was something that I did for myself. I was like, you got to be more like Austin Theory. You got to set goals for yourself,
mm-hmm.
establish them, and achieve them, and you can be where he's at one day.
Yeah, definitely, man. I watched him come up through the ranks too. I went to a couple Evolve shows when he was the champion, for Evolve, and he was. I think he was trained in the Atlanta area, if I'm not correct.
Yes,
Um,
he was.
yeah, yeah. So I've seen him wrestle a lot, and I love seeing him on the big stage too. So cool story there. So what wrestling? What all the wrestling are you watching now, Ishmael? Are you? I mean, obviously you're watching WWE and AEW, but what are some other promotions you're checking out on TV?
I would say other promotions I'm checking out on TV is I know WWE Network, they moved their channel to Peacock. So what I've been trying to do just to help myself study and be a better wrestler and what I want to do in the ring is I've been digging into Peacock library, trying to find other matches that I can watch
Nice.
from like the older days. I know back in Santino Bros, my coaches harped on a lot. I know you guys like to watch new wrestling these days, but a lot of you guys need to go back and watch the older wrestling because
Mm,
it's a lot slower and a lot more fundamentally sound. So that's what
sure,
I try to do with my wrestling these days. Is I
sure.
watch the newer wrestling too, but I try to go back and study tape from older matches.
Nice,
And it's not
nice.
any one particular promotion in general. It's just
Gotcha.
like I would pick wrestlers. Like, okay, Well, who do you want to base your style off of? And
Gotcha.
then
Yeah.
I'll like research their old matches.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good way to do it, man. And awesome that we live in a world these days where we can have all those matches basically at our fingertips to check out anybody, anytime, any place, and like I love it, man. Like I would have loved to had all this when I was growing up. I was getting my dad's old PWI magazines after he got done reading them, because he would, about a month later, I would always ask him, Dad, you read your PWI magazine yet? So that was the only time I ever got to really see anything like that. So really cool that we can do that. So, all right, man, let's talk about some other things outside of the ring. Ishmael, do you have any other loves other than wrestling?
Other than wrestling, I'm a huge video game fan. I was actually playing video games right
Yeah.
before this interview. I
Yeah.
just
What we
got my
playing, man? What we playing?
So right now I'm playing Horizon Zero Dawn, which is an old PS4 game that I was recently a couple of months ago brought into, and
Word.
it's quickly become like my favorite video game of all time. I just got my hands on a PlayStation 5 a couple of days ago, so I have
Okay.
Demon Souls.
Are
I'm
you
new.
all PlayStation guy? You all PlayStation?
For the most part,
Oh
yeah. I
yeah.
play
All
Xbox
right.
every now and then. In our household, we have every single system.
Oh yeah.
Like
Okay.
in
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
room personally, I have a PS4 and a PS5, so I
Yeah.
play video games a lot.
All us on the podcast here are Xbox guys. So
Oh boy.
yeah, yeah. So between all of us, we're definitely playing something. So video games. Anything else?
Video games. I love outdoor activities. I love doing hiking whenever I can. Unfortunately, these days I haven't had much time in my schedule to go
Sure.
hiking.
Sure.
I have a Alaskan Malamute that's about 130 pounds. I want to get him out to the snow this winter and do some hiking up there. But
Nice.
outdoor activities and traveling. I've traveled a lot in my days. I haven't
Right.
traveled as of recently, but for someone my age, I've been to a lot of places all over the world already. And traveling
Nice.
is one of my huge hobbies. And unfortunately, with my wrestling and work schedule, there's not much time to do the traveling that I used to do.
Right. But with if when the more wrestling happens, the more
That's it.
traveling's
More
happening. So
traveling.
you get both back, in return. So, all right, man. Just some quick questions outside the ring here, man. Like we talked about, man. You got to pick one. All right, here we go. Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles. For
Yeah,
sure,
you waffle
waffles.
guy, huh? Okay. New Day wouldn't like that, New
I know
Day
they
would
went.
not like. Oh, Andre or Hulk Hogan?
You know, Andre.
Andre.
I
Yeah,
go Andre. I feel like Andre didn't get the respect he deserved, not as much as Hulk Hogan. I feel like Andre was a crucial part to Hulk Hogan's success. So
sure.
I want to give the respect that Andre deserves.
Love it. Love it. Are you a Skittles or an M&M's guy?
For sure, M&M's. I hate Skittles.
You're not the sweet candy, more on the chocolate?
More on the chocolate, yeah.
Nice.
Skittles are just, I don't know, it's too much.
Yeah. All right, man. Stone Cold or The Rock, man? Who would you pull for in that match in that era?
I probably pull for The Rock.
Yeah.
I probably pull for The Rock, yeah.
Nice. All right. Are we what's the better NWO, man? The Wolfpack or the Black and White?
Wolfpack.
Wolfpack?
I'm going with Wolfpack.
Yeah. Smaller group anyway. Well,
Yeah.
you've Ishmael, you just said, man, you've been all over the world, traveled everywhere. If you got one day to go hang out at one spot anywhere in the world, where's that spot going to be, brother?
Easy. New Zealand. I've
Easy,
been to
huh?
New Zealand before, and I would definitely go back without hesitation.
I've actually heard that question or that answer to that question a lot. Not from like wrestlers in general, but I feel like they're like all you gotta do is just go there once, you'll understand.
Yeah, I've been there. I had the opportunity to see where like Lord of the Rings was filmed. Did the whole
Oh,
Hobbit
dope.
tour, all of it. Did a lot of hiking in New Zealand. It's a very
Yeah.
beautiful country.
Nice, nice. What was the last wrestling T-shirt you bought?
It was most likely. Oh, actually, it was Kofi Kingston's. I was at WrestleMania 35 when he won the WWE Championship, and I brought his T-shirt.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Yeah, that was history, man. You had to get that shirt for history. So what's for dinner tonight, man? What's Ishmael got on the plate for tonight?
That's a very good question. Honestly, it's probably going to be a combination of brown rice, broccoli, and some type of meat. I haven't decided what I'm doing. Chicken tonight,
Getting
turkey
that,
patties, or whatever it is.
yeah, getting a little bit of that carb, a little bit of that protein. That's right, man.
Still following that Nightmare Factory diet.
Yeah, yeah, nice. All right, so what's the ultimate dream car? You know, everybody's got a dream car, like that one car they'd like to take off in forever. What's yours?
Mine's is a Hellcat.
Yeah,
Really, I would say a demon, but it's really hard to get your hands on a demon these days. So
yeah,
I would settle for a Hellcat, but probably a demon if I could get my hand on one.
nice.
Yeah,
Very, very
demon
cool.
challenger for sure.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's talk about some of the things I like outside of wrestling, man. Sports. You know, are you a sports guy? Are you into sports? Who's your sports teams?
Yes, I played a lot of sports in my life. I played football in high school. I played football in college and rugby in college, and I played volleyball as well. So I'm a huge sports fan. Football mainly.
Sorry, you're cutting up, man. Can you say that one more time? You said you Cowboys.
Oh, but I was saying that I played football in college. I played rugby in college as well.
Oh, nice,
So
nice.
I'm a huge sports fan. I played sports all my life.
Yeah,
Was a collegiate athlete at UC Davis.
awesome, man. Awesome. Nice to hear. All right, man. Getting back to wrestling here, Ishmael. What's the dream for the rest of the wrestling career, man? Where does Ishmael want to end up? You know, do you want to be with some of the bigger companies? Are you okay on wrestling on the wrestling scene? What's the ultimate plan?
It is to WWE or AEW. I've had the opportunity to, in a sense, work with both companies before. I've done a WWE tryout before, so I know what they're looking for and I know how that process kind of goes to a certain extent, having done that tryout. And then training at the Nightmare Factory in Georgia for 3 months, you have access to some AEW stars. Obviously, Cody Rhodes is one of the coaches there in QT Marshall. So you train under AEW, and I've done a WWE tryout before, and they're both amazing companies. And the ultimate goal is to eventually make it to one of those companies and be a huge influence in either company.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Looking forward to seeing you on all these promotions, man. Looking forward to seeing you on TV. And speaking of TV, Ishmael, where can anybody see you on TV right now? YouTube videos, highlights. Like, I want to make sure you get all your stuff out there and plug yourself to anybody listening to you for the first time. Where can anybody check you out or see some of your matches?
Yeah, most definitely. So if you haven't seen the Nightmare Factory Showcase number 3, Class 3, I definitely recommend checking that out because it was definitely a great showcase. Lots of talent on there. My debut match is on there, so you'll have the opportunity to watch my first match ever. And then right now in Santino Bros, we're running student showcases shows every Tuesday live. The links are always posted on the Santino Bros Wrestling Academy website. So you can always check me out on there. And then my social medias as well.
Yeah, and I have, if you're watching live, I have Ishmael's Twitter handle up front is just as his name there, Ishmael at Ishmael Vaughn. So I meant to ask you a little bit ago, real quick, Ishmael, you watching any boxing or UFC?
I haven't watched any boxing or UFC in a while. Only the highlights that I see on Sports Center.
Sure. Yeah. 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 Thank God for those late night sports centers, man. That keeps us all keeps us all in tune of what's going on in the sports world when we're busy. So all right, Ishmael. I always ask this question to anybody and everybody on the podcast here. I didn't ask who your hero was growing up, but you can probably just kind of put it into this question here. You're sitting down with a table of four. It's you and three other people. They can be in history, alive, dead, anybody in the world ever. Who's going to sit down at that table with you?
Okay, I know one for sure. It would be Martin Luther King. Always wanted to talk to him. As far as the
Great
other two, that would
choice.
be I've never. It's funny you asked that question because I ask people this question too. If you can have dinner with anybody, dead or alive, who would it be? So I knew
Yeah,
MLK would be my first answer. I
yeah.
guess number three or number two and three. I guess hopefully one day I will have the opportunity to wrestle him and meet him. Like I said, John Cena. Just
Okay.
have the opportunity to talk to him. And then number three, let's see, who would that be? Hmm. I would say number three would probably be. Ooh, this is a tough one for me. I would say probably
Yeah.
my grandfather from my mom's side. I never had the opportunity to meet my grandfather from my
Oh,
mom's side.
nice,
He passed
nice. Yeah.
away before I was born. So I would say him because my mom always told me you two are so alike and you two would love each other if you guys had the opportunity to meet. So I
Yeah.
would say him.
Nice. Yeah, yep. Very cool, man. Very cool. Good answer to that. So, Ishmael, man, I want to thank you first of all for being on the Sit Down Marks podcast here today. I appreciate you joining us. Thank you for taking the time out. I look forward to seeing you more on those Nightmare Factory shows. Just I want to see you more on my TV, period, man. And looking forward to watching your career blossom from here, man. We wish you nothing but the best here. We want to thank you once again for being on the show. Ishmael, anything you want to say, any shout outs or anything you want to say here on the way out?
Yeah, of course. I would love to give my shout outs where they're due. First and
Absolutely.
foremost, I would love to give my shout out to my mom. I wouldn't be in the situation I am right now if it wasn't for her. I already
Right.
gave a shout out to the Devon family for helping me out here in Los Angeles with my stay. And of course, my coaches and my trainers, because without them, I wouldn't know how to wrestle. And Ishmael Vaughn wouldn't be here today talking to you. So, respect to Santino Bros, respect to the Nightmare Factory. I hope I go out there and do both of them proud one day.
Absolutely, man. All right. That's going to do it for us here today. I want to thank Ishmael Vaughn for being on the show. It was really fun talking to him, man. Ishmael, thanks again, man. You're really cool, man. I feel like we could talk for another probably hour. I've had a really good time talking to you today, man. I want to bring you back later on down the road. Maybe when you're headlining WrestleMania, maybe you'll come back and talk
Most
to us at that
definitely.
point.
Always. Thank you, DB. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you being on. All right, I am the Dirty Bird. That's going to do it for my interview with Ishmael Vaughn. We'll see you guys next week on the Dirty Bird Sit Down Marks podcast.